Well, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. You're right on time for the Western Spectrum, a program that brings you issues that affect people from this part of the country and, of course, at a large extent, the entire country. And today we are happy to host the Deputy Director and Regional Manager, EACC Central Nyanza, Abraham Kemboi, and, of course, we'll be doing a deep dive into graft issues in the devolved units of Kisumu County, Vihiga County, and of course Siaya County. What you and I need to do to ensure that indeed we bring down the figures. The figures as pertains corruption are not very encouraging. We are talking about between 2 and 3 billion shillings lost in terms of corruption each and every day. When you put that or tabulate that, that is quite some money that can actually be used on very many fronts. But of course, not divulging much. We will bring on Abraham Kemboi. Abraham, karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
2 to 3 billion Kenya shillings. And of course, the figure keeps oscillating between 2 and 3 billion. It's quite a figure. We are doing badly.
First of all, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you, KBC. And good morning, Kenya. Yes. The figures.
You had to take a breath.
Are quite worrying. As you said, 2 to 3 billion. But I would like to say that no empirical studies have actually been done to confirm whether we are actually losing 2 to 3 billion. This is not to say that not much money is lost. A lot of money is lost. But the figures out there is what needs to be empirically determined so that we work on a very clear figure.
The figures notwithstanding, the fact remains that we are losing quite some amount of money. And of course, that money can actually be put into use to other things. What are we doing in terms of ensuring that indeed we nip in the bud these activities that continue to see us losing millions and billions of shillings each year?
Thank you, Simon. A very good question. You are aware that the Commission, the EACC, where I serve as a regional director here in Central Nyanza, and when we talk of Central Nyanza, we speak to Kisumu County, we are speaking to Siaya County, and we also speak to Vihiga County. A lot of interventions have been put in place by the government of Kenya. Key among them is, of course, resourcing these institutions, EACC being one of them. You know, we have a chain of institutions that deal with the issue of corruption in the country. Resourcing the institutions themselves are engaged in various activities. For example, at the EACC, we are involved in various investigations within the region that we cover here, Central Nyanza. We are involved in investigations in Siaya, where we are looking into allegations of loss of hundreds of millions, you know, by way of fictitious interests. These ones were allegedly stolen by senior officials of that county. Those ones who are entrusted to, you know, protect those resources. In particular, officials within the finance department. Apart from the issue of theft, those public funds. We are also looking into the issues of conflict of interest. Majority of those officials are conflicted. You know, most of them do business with the county government. You have someone who registers a company and they do supplies to the same county government. Now, it is not only EACC that has flagged down these issues of conflict of interest. It has been identified by other stakeholders like Financial Reporting Center. And you know, Kenya is not an isolated environment. These issues of conflict of interest and concealment of process of crime are also detected by other actors within the globe. That is what is known as Financial Action Task Force, and which has identified some of these issues, and we are pursuing them to ensure that the perpetrators are taken into account for all those malpractices. It will interest you to note that as a result of these criminal acts, corrupt dealings by those officials, Kenya as a country has been placed in a grey list. And as we fight some of those cases to do with conflict of interest and concealment of proceeds of crime, we are trying to remove our country from the grey list so that it is considered as one of the countries that is easy to do business in. When we come to Kisumu County, we have quite a number of officials also in the executive, as well as the county assembly, senior officials for that matter, who are equally conflicted, and we are working on them so that once we conclude the investigations, appropriate remedies be put into place. When we go to Vihiga County Government, same issue. You recall that the Senate has flagged most of the malpractices in Vihiga to do with the county assembly, where there is mismanagement of, mortgages and car loans. There is also embezzlement of public funds. There is overpricing of structural or infrastructure projects. And all these, we are looking into them. I would like to say, apart from the enforcement aspect, the Commission is empowered by the Constitution and the law to engage in preventive acts so that this corruption really is stopped from the source.
From the onset. Fantastic.
Yes.
When you look at the patterns that you've actually put out there, it is quite predictable in the sense that the Commission already knows that there's inflation of prices on, infrastructural activities. There are officers who are actually fictitiously claiming interest. There are officers who are conflicted. Those are patterns that can actually be predicted. Why is it that it's taking too long? And a common mwananchi on the ground, despite the fact that saying that we are actually been put in a gray zone, I want to believe that is slightly better than being in a red zone, right? They're not feeling that. They're not seeing that. What do we need to do, or what do we need to tell our people so that then they understand that indeed there's actually movement towards a better place?
Thank you, Simon. Having said that, a lot of action is being taken. What I consider as the most serious and productive action that we can take as government is strict enforcement of the law on corruption and economic crimes. It's not only...
That is where the challenge comes, because, of course... But every time the Commission has actually tried to strictly enforce the law, there's quite a number of interference. And of course, that interference comes, one, from our people is being targeted, of course, politics and the powers that be?
Well, it is not for me to talk about politics in this forum. You've said it yourself, and I know there are other stakeholders who can deal with the politics of fighting corruption. But having said that, the fight against corruption is actually like a relay. There is the initiator who hands over the baton to other actors. So the result of this fight is as good as the entire team of actors in that relay.
Dropping the button. In this relay?
In this relay, your guess is as good as mine.
I don't have any guess.
You're
actively in the field. I want to know who's actually dropping the button.
What I want to say is that I want to invite you at your own time, do an audit, right? From the start all the way to the end. There is a bit that EACC does. There are other stakeholders who are also empowered by the law and the constitution to do their bit. So if you desire to establish where the problem is, then I invite you to do that audit and you will find it for yourself. I will go back to the point that we need to strictly enforce the law. It's not only the law on corruption, other laws in the country. Because if we do not enforce these laws, there will be lack of that deterrent effect. You do not need to investigate thousands of corruption cases, but you need to investigate one, enforce it properly, prosecute it thoroughly, so that the perpetrators are punished in a proper manner. What this one will do is that all those ones who want to do the same gimmick, to be engaged in the same monkey business, will stop it. Otherwise, if we fail to enforce the law strictly, it is going to be costly for the government to investigate most of these cases over and over. It's going to be expensive for the government to process these cases over and over in the courts through prosecution and, of course, recovery.
Lethargy in terms of prosecution of some of these cases, has it contributed immensely on the boisterous nature of some of these politicians? After they come out, of course, they appear in court, and the following day they're out there and saying, wamenijaribu sana, lakini hawajaniweza.
Again, as a regional manager, that one is left to the policy holders of the commission. I deal with operational issues.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
let's talk about Kisumu. Kisumu last year was categorized as one of the counties, one of the 6 counties in this country that are hotspot for land theft and public land theft. How bad is the situation? Gangsters paradise.
The situation is very bad here in Kisumu. You may want to say that generally about 40% of land that was earmarked for public use is actually in the wrong hands. When I speak to public land, I speak to land that was earmarked for Kenya Railways, land that was earmarked for housing locally, land that was earmarked for police stations and other public utilities, the schools, the roads, the health facilities. Most of it, most of that land or those parcels are in wrong hands. And as a commission, we have taken steps to ensure that this land is restituted back to the public for the good use for all of us, including yourself. It cannot be that as a private person, you've taken away a police station and you want our police officers maybe to be squeezed in a corner, whereas you as a private person, you own the largest part of that police station. And we have these examples in a police station in Kasagam. There is a police station in Kawash, Mamboleo Showground. Most of those parcels of land have been grabbed. And in fact, in the recent past, I know the local member of parliament.
How courageous can someone be to actually grab a police station?
It is very interesting that people can be so daring that you want to take away a police station, then you want to evict the police, our officers who guarantee us our security. And you want to feel so nice. You want to look like you are an entrepreneur. You know, how can you be that enterprising, whereas most of the time you focus on taking away that belongs to all of us? And having said that, because of much of those reports reaching our office, and especially in Kisumu East constituency, where the local MP is Shakil Shabir, we are moving in to recover most of those grabbed parcels of land. And we would like to warn these grabbers that you will be wasting your investments if you deploy your resources on a parcel of land that was traditionally and historically set aside for the good use by the people of Kenya. You're wasting your investment. The law has been clarified. Maybe, I don't know, most Kenyans, they are informed, but they don't follow these, directives as guided by law. In Kenya currently, precedence has been set that whatever was set aside for any good use for the public, no one under the law has the authority to claim those properties.
Abraham, that is the law. However, so brazen are some of these people that they actually grab pieces of land or even houses that belong to the public and go ahead and rent it back to government. And I'm talking in particular of that particular house in Milimani Estate. How brazen can someone be?
They can be very daring because, as I said previously, the law was not enforced properly. Now, what the commission is doing is that we will recover that parcel of land, the house, including taking action on all those government officers who are involved in this fraudulent allocation. Secondly, we will also recover what we think is the proceed, the income that you have earned as a result of irregularly occupying that government property. This is common in Milimani area, where we have people who have taken away government houses. They are also listening to the same government. Some commissions are being housed in, premises. They are paying rent for what they should not be paying. We are also moving to look into some estates in Milimani. We have the housing estate, Block 12, where we are intent on recovering the same. We are also looking at Block 9, which is historically a prison's parcel of land. Some not so good Kenyans and scrupulous Kenyans took away, which the land that belonged to prisons, sold it to unsuspecting Kenyans. Those Kenyans did development, but we are moving in to ensure that that parcel of land is taken back to the Kenya Prisons Services.
That brings into question the sanctity of title deeds in Kisumu County. Let us not talk about other areas of jurisdiction. In Kisumu County, as a person who wants to buy a piece of land in Kisumu County, what do I need to do to ensure that indeed this piece of land that I'm actually buying, I'm not actually being conned of my hard-earned cash?
Very good. There is what is known as due diligence. Before you buy land in Kisumu, just look at a basic documents. Go to the fiscal planning office. Look at the development plan of Kisumu town. It will tell you this portion was earmarked for a road. This is a railway station. This is a police station. This is a prisons housing land. This is government housing land. This is Kenya Airport land. This is Kenya Pipeline land. You know, it is very clearly earmarked in the original plans of Kisumu town. Once you notice that the parcel of land that you are intent in acquiring lies within those planned areas, please don't waste your money. It will actually be a loss to you. So land that was set aside for public use will always remain for public use unless the government disposes it in a lawful way.
Fantastic, Kemboi. I have so many questions. When I put up this poster yesterday, there are so many questions that are actually coming in. And one of the questions that I've actually already received pertains the Block 9 and 12 pieces of land in Milimani. Of course, that's an issue that we'll be discussing right after this break. We're going on for a short break. When we come back, of course, we're still with Abraham Kemboi, the manager of Central Nyanza, EACC, who is actually putting us into perspective of exactly what they're doing in this region in terms of the fight against Graft. See you after the break. Great. Welcome back. We are still hosting Deputy Director and Regional Manager, EACC Central Nyanza, Abraham Kemboi. And of course, just before we went on that break, we are discussing the sanctity of our title deed in Kisumu County, what you need to do to ensure that indeed you are not conned of your hard-earned cash, even as you want to invest out there. And one of the key issues that have actually been raised, Kemboi, has been the issue of the small fish. That we are going for the small fish in the ocean. Yet kuna papa na nyangumi. Why are you scared of the big fish?
Thank you, Simon, once again. Before I respond to the issue of the small and big fish, allow me to go back to the issue of the sanctity of the title. Yeah. That the courts have been very clear. The law is very clear. All the way the jurisprudence that is established now is that any title that is tainted with an illegality or fraud is never protected by the law. That you cannot claim you are an innocent purchaser for value of something that was originally, as a result of a criminal act. So those titles are not protected by the law. And it can as well be said that those ones who have such titles within this town and any other town in Kenya, you are exposed. I could as well say that you are walking around with just papers, but not instruments of ownership. Having said that, let me come back to the issue of small fish, the big fish. When you look at these issues critically, and I'll give you an example. The so-called small fish usually emanate from service delivery points where the people of Kenya go to look for service. Say, for example, police stations. Say, for example, revenue offices. Say, for example, lands offices. And many other offices where ordinary wananchi, the hospitals, go for services. When they go to these offices, there is that, practice of demanding for something small from them. For example, the other day here in Kisumu, we arrested a police officer who had been detaining a so-called suspect for 4 days on allegation that the so-called suspect was in possession of bank. You know, a person is arrested on Sunday, held in custody the whole Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in various police cells. You know, held in ransom, awaiting delivery of a bribe.
15,000.
Or 15,000. You can imagine the pain that person goes through. You know? 15,000 for you to be held for 4 days in captivity. No charges preferred against you. So what you may be calling small fish, the 15,000, is actually of grave concern to an ordinary Kenyan. Another example is these revenue officers here. Somebody within Kisumu town, someone has taken loan, you purchase a matatu, you know, you are operating either between Kisumu and Siaya or Kisumu, Kisii. So the revenue officers within the bus park, every day they come for their kickback, small amounts of money. To a matatu operator, this request for 5,000 daily is not small or big money. It's not big, small money. You know, if you are making a margin of 2,000 as a matatu operator, and someone is asking for 5,000, at the end of the month, you are supposed to pay for the loan. Is that something small? To that person, it is so painful to be paying such an amount every day. So the question of small or big fish does not arise. In fact, if you are a Christian, you are told that the sin that will come to consume your life, the fire that will burn a forest, starts as a small spark. So yes, we are dealing with small and big fish in equal measure, because the consequences of these small fish, you can also relate them to the big fish. We deal with them in the same manner. We fry all of them in the same manner.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And in any case, most of the complaints that come to the office, you know, these were the small ones. And the people appear so affected, and you sympathize with them. And you cannot ignore those small, complaints.
Yes,
Thank you.
the question then that arises from this small fish syndrome is the fact that most Kenyans are willing offenders in the sense that someone is asking for money from me, and it's easier for me to actually give out that money rather than going through the whole hog in the entire full length in terms of doing what I'm supposed to be doing. For instance, if it's compliance in terms of my matatus having the rightful documents, instead of, ensuring that my matatus have the right documents, I would rather give out 5,000 shillings. And that, of course, makes business and service delivery quite expensive in this country. Is it time for Kenyans also to sit back and ensure that they do the right thing?
Yes, we would like to ask Kenyans, to stop this behavior of taking shortcuts. In terms of the way things should be done, if you are supposed to pay for the licensing, please go ahead to do that. If you are supposed to pay certain fees, maybe for the bus park, please proceed to do that so that we avoid this temptation to bribe government officers, escalating the entire problem to unmanageable levels. But in most times, it will surprise you, Simon, that even if you comply with all these requirements, it is as if the government officers would rather have you on the wrong side. They would rather advise you not to pay so that they have an opportunity, to get something from you. And so those small things
Just sheer,
cumulatively.
A desire to have an extra coin from the government officers that are actually involved in this, or just the fact that people really don't care and don't want things to be right in the right manner?
Well, it is a combination of the two. You see, failure to do what is supposed to be done cumulatively, it will drive the situation to a level whereby now it's like no one really, cares. Or, we leave it the way, we let the system to run the way it is running.
Wait, let us shift gears and move into the institutions of higher learning in this region. I want to talk about Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University in Siaya. I want to talk about Maseno University in Kisumu County. And of course, I want to talk about Kaimosi University or a college in Vihiga County. Quite a number of concerning issues coming out. In Maseno, investigations are underway. Someone sat down and decided to employ relatives, close relatives, family, friends, and concubines. How bad can a situation be?
It is really bad. It is a sad situation. And as you rightly said, you cannot use your position to employ those ones who you consider close to you. And we are looking into that issue in Maseno University. Plus, of course, we have officials of that university, senior ones, who hold key positions on account of fake academic documents. An institution of higher learning employing people who have fake academic documents, and we are processing those ones. Appropriate action will be taken. Now, in Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University, we have cases of, over variation in capital projects. We have the hostels, which the previous leadership used them as a vehicle to defraud the public. And we are pursuing that, and we'll recover the money. The case is already before High Court in Siaya. We will recover that money. And of course, criminal action will be taken against those ones who perpetrated that crime. In the other university, that is Kaimosi, Friends University, we have an issue to do the overpricing again of a tuition block, which we are investigating. And of course, remedial action will be taken. We will recover the money, the excess money paid to the contractors, and sanction those ones who are involved in that fraud. Generally, apart from the other institutions, the county governments, we are also looking at the institutions of higher learning, as you rightly put it, and so that we also ensure that these institutions of higher learning do what is expected of them. They are actually, the fountains of knowledge as expected of them.
The questions that I'm actually getting is about Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University, and questions are rising over, one, you've actually alluded to it in terms of fake papers, but also graduation. Students graduating on the basis of fake results that have actually been given to them by either lecturers, or they have found a way out through the system to actually have fake results into the system, and they actually go ahead and graduate.
Well, that's another issue that we are looking into.
And more specifically, that case in Bondo, in Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University. What came of it?
Yes.
What came of it?
It is an investigation that is actually being concluded, and very soon we will let Kenyans know our findings about it. And basically, as we've said, it was alleged that some lecturers, you bribe a lecturer, and in fact we have some M-Pesa transactions, then you do not attend class or exams, and you are given some nice marks, and you proceed to graduate. It is unbelievable. It is terrible that institutions can, go to that level where we will be having doctors, we will be having teachers who really did not qualify to do what they claim to be doing. So, yes, we are taking action on the same, and very soon we will let you know of what we found from that investigation.
Because that is not an isolated case. Other universities, of course, we've had situations where students are complaining about missing marks, and then from nowhere, they're actually able to graduate. Parents and employers out there will be asking themselves, how then do we ensure that this certificate that we're getting from this institution is not courtesy of fake results that are actually given to this student, that I'm actually employing a person or a student who actually went through the course full-time, and I'm having a fully baked person who is actually coming to work in my institution.
You're right. The employers and all of us, we should be very concerned. And we would like to urge these institutions of higher learning to strengthen their controls, quality controls, to ensure that the people who have actually gone through the education system, those ones properly qualified, are the ones who graduate and become various professions that are desired out here. Yeah. So, yes, strengthening the controls, and of course, this issue of integrity that we talk about every day, you know, it comes into play. The ethical standards of the institution, you know, it must be, you know, guarded by those who are entrusted with the running of those institutions.
We are almost done with our hour. The question that I want to ask you as we conclude is that your urge in terms of Kenyans being active participants in ensuring that we fight crime. What are you asking them to do?
Well, I will ask all Kenyans, first of all, desist from the temptations to be corrupted. And number two, whenever you come across these incidences of corruption and any other crime, please engage the relevant authorities. Engage the EACC, engage the police, engage any other government office that it is established to assist Kenyans. And overall, all Kenyans, let us shun corruption, because this animal called corruption, if we do not deal with it, if we do not fight corruption, chances are that all our desires may not be achieved. For example, in all that we want to do as a country, we want a country where security is guaranteed. We want a country where drugs, the menace of drugs and alcohol is managed. We want a country that is developing for all of us. If we do not fight corruption, if we do not stop being corrupt, all these desires may not be achieved.
That is a good place to end our conversation. I just read one or two comments from our followers. Derek from Busia, you are asking when we'll be going to Busia to actually have a similar conversation. Of course, that is something we'll do. And of course, very many other comments here touching on the good work that EACC is doing, and they need to continue the same, but they're also saying that you need to act fast, especially in terms of the sanctity of title deeds in Milimani area. Of course, that has been the Deputy Director and Manager of EACC Central Nyanza, Abraham Kimboi, giving us details of exactly what he's doing here in his region in terms of the fight against Graft.